Where do you go from here, Aaron?
Home.
Do you believe that Rodgers and the Packers should want to consider separating at the end of this season for the better of both sides?
I think the most likely outcome here is that he's back in Green Bay.
A few weeks ago, prior to the 3-6, at the time 3-6 Green Bay Packers took on the Dallas Cowboys, I made a video on how the Green Bay Packers made a horrific mistake. And bear in mind, I approached the Aaron Rodgers situation, which was incredibly dense and goes back for almost 2 years, from the perspective of the Green Bay Packers, not necessarily the perspective of Aaron Rodgers. If I did it from the perspective of Aaron Rodgers, that video probably would have been something like 45 minutes long. Now that some more time has passed by, well, 2 weeks to be exact, we can finally approach this situation from Aaron Rodgers' perspective and how he made a horrific mistake, assuming that money wasn't the top priority on his list. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. If you want to go the extra mile to support this channel, make sure you check out our channel memberships program and our Patreon link in the description as well. Now that we get all of that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? For those of you guys that don't know, when the Aaron Rodgers situation officially began, it was the day of the 2021 NFL draft. As a matter of fact, I remember that day perfectly. I was on vacation and I had to make a video on how this man, Aaron Rodgers, essentially threatened retirement if the Green Bay Packers didn't fire their general manager, Brian Gutekunst. Now, at the time, what I was assuming is Aaron Rodgers was just fed up over the fact that he had no say on personnel decisions. And as a matter of fact, in the months down the line, he would actually confirm that was something that was frustrating him. And he cited frustrations like the Green Bay Packers getting rid of Randall Cobb, Julius Peppers, Jake Kumaro, some players that weren't necessarily top tier Pro Bowl talents, especially Julius Peppers on the Packers wasn't necessarily Julius Peppers during stint 1 on the Carolina Panthers, but he cited the fact that their presence in the locker room were very significant for team chemistry. He also included players like Charles Woodson, which is another fantastic example in this scenario, and that was the reason why he was so frustrated with the Green Bay Packers front office and was even considering demanding a trade. Now, bear in mind, this all came in a bombshell report on the morning of the 2021 NFL draft from Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter would later on say that this was news that was being accumulated throughout the season, and he just dropped it all on us during the NFL draft.
This was an accumulation all during the offseason of just listening to people talk and observing. And if we go back to the NFC Championship game that the Green Bay Packers lost at home, did we not hear Aaron Rodgers after that game talk about his level of unhappiness, if you will, uncertainty for the future?
So you chose to break the news on draft day.
That is absolutely accurate. Correct.
But it wasn't something that you got information about.
No.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't necessarily mean that Aaron Rodgers didn't feel that way. And as a matter of fact, it looked like as soon as the 2021 NFL draft had begun, the Denver Broncos and the Green Bay Packers may have been close to coming terms on a trade for Aaron Rodgers. If you remember, during the 2021 NFL draft, the Denver Broncos were in line to draft a quarterback with the 9th overall pick. Originally, we all thought that they were going to draft probably Justin Fields at that position, but they didn't. They took Patrick Surtain. This kind of caused the Dallas Cowboys to panic. They traded their pick back with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles got Devontae Smith. The Cowboys got Micah Parsons. And the New York Giants had to trade all the way back to number 20 and take Kadarius Toney. So the assumption was, if the Denver Broncos were going to go defense with their draft pick and select Patrick Surtain, which, by the way, fantastic pick, fantastic player, over a player like Justin Fields, who leading up to that NFL draft was considered to be a top 2 pick at the very minimum, but unfortunately for Justin Fields, Zach Wilson started shooting up draft boards. People were enamored with the potential of Trey Lance as well. So he was there for the Denver Broncos to potentially take him. The Broncos said no. The assumption was that they were getting close to trade for Aaron Rodgers. That didn't end up happening. Aaron Rodgers decided to return to the Green Bay Packers for the 2021 NFL season. Bear in mind that Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers both teased this idea of the last dance back then. again. Little did we know that it was actually Davante Adams' last dance. Now bear in mind, at the conclusion of the 2021 season, when the Green Bay Packers lost to the San Francisco 49ers, Aaron Rodgers didn't necessarily do the media any favors in regards to his plans. He said multiple times that he still didn't know what his future was going to be, even going as far as to say that his future seemed uncertain.
There's a lot of unknowns going into this offseason now. I'm going to have to take some time away for sure and clear my head and just kind of see what's going on with everything.
But if that wasn't enough, when he accepted his second consecutive NFL MVP, once again, he stated that he didn't know what his future was going to be. His future seemed uncertain. Now, I will always own up to my takes that just didn't age well. And at the time, I don't know if you remember, I came on this channel and said multiple times that in my head, it was a foregone conclusion that Aaron Rodgers was going to join the Denver Broncos. I mean, there are just way too many things there that just made it seem like it was the next obvious move for his career. He had a falling out with the general manager of Green Bay. Green Bay was completely capped out. So if he was to return to the Green Bay Packers, they would be a significantly less talented team than they were the season prior. Which, don't get me wrong, the Green Bay Packers still had a phenomenal defense. They got some pretty good draft picks in return for Davante Adams, and they decided to invest that draft capital, at least in the first round, on making a strong defense even stronger, and they spent a second round pick on Christian Watson, who, by the way, seems to be working out pretty fine so far, and we have a video on him coming out within the next couple of weeks. And after an entire offseason where the Denver Broncos were calling the Green Bay Packers consistently, but apparently not having their phone calls returned, Aaron Rodgers decided to shock the entire NFL and sign with the Green Bay Packers for a $50 million annual contract. This is despite the Denver Broncos being willing to offer the 9th overall pick this year, their second round pick this year, and next year's first for Aaron Rodgers. And apparently they were in a bidding war with the Pittsburgh Steelers as well, which is why this is kind of unfortunate, because I understand how the Green Bay Packers may have had Tom Brady syndrome. I mean, you're watching Aaron Rodgers go off for back-to-back MVP seasons. Even though he's entering his age 39 season, it's a little difficult to part with that. But at the same time, you have to understand that this team also pissed off Aaron Rodgers by selecting Jordan Love in the 2020 NFL draft, in a draft that was filled with wide receivers, which, by the way, Aaron Rodgers could definitely use a wide receiver right about now. I mean, don't get me wrong, Christian Watson's starting to come into his own, but could you imagine if the Green Bay Packers decided not to take Aaron Rodgers' successor back then? Now, I don't want you guys to think I'm some sort of like secret Aaron Rodgers or Green Bay Packers hater, because at the end of the day, as a commentator, I have the benefit of hindsight. I could look at what the Green Bay Packers did. They could have gone either way with their decision, and I could clearly say why what they did was a huge mistake, especially given the results that they have now. Now, bear in mind, when Aaron Rodgers returned to the Green Bay Packers, there were really just two motivations to do so, maybe just one if we're being honest. One was he was feeling incredibly nostalgic about his time with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, we remember from that Instagram post where he said gratitude is like wine, feel free to get drunk off of it, and then he just posted a gigantic paragraph thanking his teammates, thanking all of his coaches, saying how much he truly appreciated them. Then he posted some pretty cryptic pictures as well, like Davante Adams standing next to Randall Cobb without Aaron Rodgers there as well. That just drove the entire media world absolutely insane, and Aaron Rodgers historically loved doing this. So there was a good chance that he was just feeling nostalgic about his time in Green Bay. The only other reason I could truly think of Aaron Rodgers wanting to return to Green Bay, just simply because of the money. And if you remember, people were getting destroyed for saying that this was simply a money thing. I mean, apparently the great Pat McAfee revealed that Aaron Rodgers wanting $50 million a year was categorically false. Figure the reports wasn't true. Rodgers knows that the Packers cap isn't set up for a deal like that with wanting certain players back. Bear in mind, Rodgers did want Davante Adams back. Davante Adams didn't want to go back because Aaron Rodgers is fairly volatile as a QB. This is a guy that talks about his ayahuasca use regularly. So there is a decent amount of unpredictability in this. And there were multiple rumors about this. I mean, if Rodgers' Green Bay issues were just about money, this would be resolved by now. Packers have shown willingness to pay top of market and push out cap pain. All the rumors seem subterfuge for the real reasons, whatever they are, for what is going on between the team and Aaron Rodgers. If you remember, Greg Jennings got destroyed for suggesting this was a money thing as well.
People change, but some things never do. Aaron Rodgers has been a very selfish guy. Like, period.
But here's the problem. Anything Greg Jennings says about Aaron Rodgers automatically gets discredited because he just has a history of just hating on Aaron Rodgers blindly, which is why you should try to be unbiased with your takes, because otherwise you're automatically going to just be written off as an Aaron Rodgers hater in this case. Kurt Bankert even quoted this tweet saying, "L take, lots of salt, get a new narrative to spread. 12 is the most generous and thoughtful person I've met in the league, not to mention the back-to-back best player." This sounds like it comes from a person that wanted to be that guy, but wasn't. At the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers did sign a $50 million contract with the Green Bay Packers. So the only two motivations that he could have had is one, nostalgia, and two, just wanting a lot of money, which is okay. It's really hard for fans to wrap their head around this, but some players aren't necessarily chasing a Tom Brady-like legacy. And while Aaron Rodgers does have the talent to do so, there's a possibility that he wasn't trying to pursue additional Super Bowls for his legacy. And to be honest, I think at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is going to be considered as one of the greats no matter how many Super Bowls he's won. I mean, we consider Dan Marino to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, if you ever just want to truly appreciate an entertaining quarterback to watch with a lightning quick release who just throws the riskiest passes, but whenever they come down and makes your jaw drop, go watch Dan Marino highlights. But at the end of the day, assuming that Aaron Rodgers just didn't want another large payday, this was a gigantic mistake. If you recall, the Denver Broncos were all in on Aaron Rodgers. They hired someone that he spoke glowingly about in Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the number one thing. There's nobody in the building that brings me more joy or is more fun to be around than Nathaniel Hackett. You know, we got some great guys, you know, some guys I've enjoyed playing with for a long time. I knew based on his friendship with AVP, Alex Van Pelt, that we were going to be friends just because Alex is such a great dude and him and I had such a great friendship. I just knew Hack and I were going to bond, but he's become, you know, such a close confidant and friend, besides a fantastic coach. And I just really, really can't express enough how important he is to our team in so many ways. He's incredible in front of a room. He brings a lot of great energy that's really important to not just meetings that can sometimes, you know, without the energy he infuses, maybe get long at times. Never feels that way with him in front of the room. But Hack has really embraced the idea of celebration together as well, which I think is such a vital part of us coming together and being a close-knit group. I think he's got a great mind. Hack has been a really important part of our culture change and a part of our success on offense. I love him. Hope he doesn't go anywhere. Unless I do.
So at the end of the day, this wasn't just the Green Bay Packers' mistake. Assuming that Aaron Rodgers just didn't want money, it was also Aaron Rodgers' mistake. He could have gone to a team with really good wide receivers, with a ton of cap space, by the way, and they could have invested that cap space into additional weapons for him offensively or into additional weapons for him defensively. The Green Bay Packers, we've already discussed this, could have started the Jordan Love era with 4 additional first-round picks and multiple second-round picks to build around Jordan Love. And to be honest, man, I have tremendous confidence in Jordan Love's ability, considering how much time he's sat behind Aaron Rodgers and the weapons that they could have potentially put around Jordan Love. This also would have solved Green Bay's cap space issues. Now, unfortunately, it seems like Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are in a very difficult spot. Just a few games removed from their last win, where Aaron Rodgers had this to say:
I feel like last week was kind of a rock bottom. We responded in the right way today. I knew we were capable of a performance like this. Biggest thing to remember is we're not dead.
We're now getting multiple reports on how the Green Bay Packers should consider their future, as Aaron Rodgers had a horrific game on Thursday Night Football. Bear in mind that when the Green Bay Packers faced off against the Tennessee Titans, they did a remarkable job against them. There was only 88 rushing yards allowed. Ryan Tannehill did throw 1 interception, but the Green Bay Packers secondary got destroyed by him. But Aaron Rodgers finished 24 of 39 for 227 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Green Bay scored less than 20 points for the 6th time this season. The defense played horrifically, and the Green Bay Packers ground game didn't really do much. Aaron Rodgers struggled mightily against pressure that game, where he was 1 for 7, 3 yards, negative 30.3% completion percentage over expected. This follows the trend of his struggles against pressure this season. He had multiple good points as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, this was a remarkable moment towards the end of the first quarter where Aaron Rodgers threw a remarkable pass to Christian Watson for a touchdown. touchdown. But unfortunately, for all the good moments, there were also some pretty bad ones. He had Sammy Watkins wide open on 3rd and 12, but he threw the pass 3 yards off target. He had multiple misses on 3rd downs to wide open wide receivers. And I think the icing on the cake that might irritate Packers fans at this point is when Aaron Rodgers was asked what's next for the Green Bay Packers and where do you go from here, this is all he had to say.
Where do you go from here, Aaron?
Home.
Which, don't get me wrong, it's pretty funny, but it's not necessarily what Green Bay Packers fans want to hear when their season is in jeopardy. Now, at the time that I'm recording this, they have yet to face off against the one-loss Philadelphia Eagles. For all you know, they're able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, but at the same time, I can imagine it being very difficult for Aaron Rodgers to get going against a very ferocious Philadelphia Eagles defense. Either way, if the Green Bay Packers want a chance to sneak into the wild card, they essentially have to go undefeated throughout the rest of the season. Do I think they could pull it off? Well, I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. I do think the fact that Aaron Rodgers is finally building a rapport with Christian Watson is very promising. And I can really see that matchup going either way. Obviously, as a Cowboy fan, I'm going to be rooting for the Green Bay Packers. At the end of the day, I don't necessarily think this is a situation where Aaron Rodgers' career is in jeopardy. The Green Bay Packers clearly have to make a choice very soon between Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. It'd be very strange if you drafted Jordan Love with a 1st round pick and you just have him ride the bench during the first few years of his career. It's not necessarily the worst place to be if you're Jordan Love either. At the same time, if you're Jordan Love, you've already waited this long. You're getting paid to essentially watch one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and without a doubt, one of the most eccentric quarterbacks of all time, prepare for each and every game. Deal with fairly difficult situations. I mean, the situation Aaron Rodgers is in is very clear. What he's struggling with right now is very clear. One of his favorite targets is no longer on the team in Devontae Adams. He has brand new wide receivers that he needs to build chemistry with. This is a valuable thing for Jordan Love to just watch and learn from. And I don't necessarily see Jordan Love getting up and leaving when his contract does finally expire, which there is some time for that, after spending so much time learning the system that he's currently in and building a rapport with the team that he's currently on, especially when Aaron Rodgers told the media multiple times that he doesn't expect to have a Tom Brady-esque career in terms of longevity. Aaron Rodgers' career longevity has been very impressive. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. Has he been able to consistently make it to the Super Bowl and win Super Bowls like Tom Brady has been able to? No. That doesn't mean I respect him any less. If he had gone to the Denver Broncos and teamed up with Nathaniel Hackett, would things have gone a little differently? I don't necessarily know. For all you know, he goes to Denver and he struggles just as much trying to team up with Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and Courtland Sutton. But to be honest, I see him having significantly more success there than Russell Wilson. That's just the way I envision it. So let me know in the comment section down below. Did Aaron Rodgers make a horrific mistake? Or do you think he made the right decision taking the money and staying in Green Bay? Do you think he would have won a Super Bowl if he went to the Denver Broncos? Or do you think things wouldn't have changed that much? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.